That one. That one. Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to our next episode. Our next webinar has got a great speaker. I'd like to introduce you guys to Jody Kolbee. Jody is based in Cape Town. He's a marketing professional, specialist, and an influencer. We're proud to have him on board. And I think he's gonna. I love, and that is how to create a brand that doesn't suck. And what I like about it is that I've been in marketing and branding and designing and all that type of stuff for a long time, and it's one of the big things that people do wrong. So welcome, Jody. You guys can see the two of us.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Eugene. And thanks everyone for tuning in. I see there's some messages popping up on the chat as well. That's quite awesome.
Cool. Yeah. So I'm going to leave you guys. I'm again like the previous ones. I'm the moderator at the back. The chat is. Oh, I see the chat is still public. Let's just quickly make it private. There's nothing. Luckily, no one said anything weird. No one mentioned my hair, but we won't go into that. But cool. I'm going to leave you guys in Jody's capable hands. And
awesome. All right, guys. So effectively what I'm going to be guiding you through today is how to create a brand that doesn't suck. And what that essentially means is it's going to compose of a lot of your visual branding. That's going to include your logo. It's also going to include the steps that you need to follow to make sure that your brand speaks to a customer and makes the customer the hero of your brand story, rather than focusing outright on just creating a pretty logo that resonates with you and not necessarily to a customer. So awesome. Let's get started on the why. Everything starts with why. That's where your brand journey really needs to start. And this is an exercise that I want to give to you to actually follow. Whether you're an entrepreneur who already has a business, whether you are wanting to start a business, particularly in this time of COVID-19, is that we really are seeing a surgence of businesses opening up in digital spheres. Which is quite exciting for a marketer, digital marketing expert like myself. It means that, number one, we have more customers, but what it also means is that a lot more people who've never been in the digital sphere are now going to make very common mistakes. And so this is going to guide you. So what you want to ask when you are first thinking about your brand is, what does your business do? This is very important. You know, you've got to ask yourself, what does your business do and why is it going to be effective? Is there a need out there for the solution that you are providing? Because that's effectively what a brand is. A brand is an answer to a problem, and it's providing that solution. The other thing that you need to understand is who is the intended target market and your audience. If you don't understand everything there is to know about your intended audience and your target market, you are never going to get the brand right off the bat. And when I'm talking about the audience, what I'm talking about is your demographic. You need to know who that customer is, who is the person that is struggling with this particular problem, and who is going to be receptive to the thing that you are offering. So you've got to ask, what is the age? What is the gender? What is the geographics of that customer? So basically, where can they be found? What circumstances are they under? And most importantly, what you really want to know before you've even started any kind of brand exercises is someone willing to pay for this? Who is that person? So you've got to ask yourself, so when you're asking for about that payment thing, you've got to think about what's called the Living Standards Measure, LSM for short. There is a brilliant website that you can go on there. It is lsmsa.co.za. And what a living standards measure is, it basically puts people inside of a point system in a bracket. And it says, does this person own a smart TV? Does this person have a cell phone? How many cell phones do they have? What do people essentially have that is basically going to assist with all of these things? And what the LSM is going to do is the LSM is going to say that This person is sitting on LSM level 6. And LSM level 6 means that they have this amount of affordability. And you need to ask those questions. If you are providing a service and the price point is really, really expensive, you cannot pitch your service to LSM 4 to 6, for example, because they don't fall in your affordability bracket. Then you've got to pitch your LSM, 8 to 10 or 10 to 12 for that matter. So you've got to ask all those questions about your audience. The other thing that you've got to ask, and this is something people get wrong all the time, as a graphic designer as well, a lot of business owners say, I want a logo and this is what I want it to look like. And I think to myself, well, I hear what you're saying, but I don't feel like this logo is going to get that message across. So you've got to ask as you'll see on question 3 is, what do you want the perception of your brand to be? Do you want people to perceive your brand as serious? Do you want them to perceive your brand as friendly, as playful, something to get excited about? Is it innovative? Those things, those emotions need to be captured in the logo. And in all of the visual branding as well. You also need to ask yourself, and this is the easier question, is how should people feel when they first see your logo or your branding, So those perceptions are, you have a couple of seconds to create those perceptions. So you've got to make sure that your logo and your branding captures that. Then lastly, you've got to ask, what is the story behind your brand? This is very important. Your brand is a story. Literally, what you want to make sure of is that when your brand is telling the story, you've got to make sure that the customer is the hero of your story. And people get lost in this. People think that the brand is the product and the product is the brand. That's not a brand. A product does not a brand make. Your brand is your story, and it's the solution around why you are doing what you're doing, why you are reaching out to a customer, and why this product or this brand is here to help that audience member, the intended target market. That is the brand. That is the story. It's not the product. You can have a brand that sells 1 million products, but you can't have a brand, no two brands have exactly the same story. So establish your story. And what this in essence means is that you've got to create a brand personality. So the brand has to have a personality. It's what does the brand look like? What does it smell like? What does it taste like? What does it feel like? What gets people excited about it? When people land on it, what do they see? And just like people have a personality, so for example, you might be a stern person who doesn't come across easy to other people. That's a personality. Your brand needs to establish the same thing. And you want a brand that's going to be effective and that's going to communicate very well. So moving on to the next slide, make an impression, all right, and make an impact. You have 45 seconds. I'm not even kidding. You have 45 seconds for your visual branding to make and leave a lasting impression. 45 seconds is all you have, especially in the world of digital. We're sitting in an unprecedented time right now, where people are scrolling through Facebook and they're scrolling fairly quickly. And if a brand is going to make an impact, it's got to be something that leaps off the page, all right? And here's the other thing that people don't understand about a logo. So I often get this, whether it be with flyers, with logos, any kind of branding, visual branding, people always say to me, make it pop. That's not a logo. That's not even a brief. That's not even a description. Make it pop means nothing to a customer. All that make it pop could be is make the fonts bold, make the colors like bright, and that's not going to be a brand. And that's not necessarily going to make an impact because it's not part of the culture. It's not part of the ethos of the brand. And a person, you literally only have that 45 seconds to sell everything inside of your visual branding. So when you're talking about making an impact, you've got to say to yourself, this logo has, like, if someone scrolls past it, they've got to see like, wow, this looks like something that is creative. I haven't seen that. I haven't seen something this innovative. This can be a font. This can be playing around with modern styling. This can be a bright color, maybe something that's trending. And I want to caution people on trending. Trends come and go, all right? That's not how what should govern your brand. Just because things are very minimalist now, I mean, there's a big movement on minimalism again. It used to be a thing about 5 or 10 years ago, even, and now it's coming back. And postmodernism is coming back. But here's the problem: you cannot let that govern your branding. Otherwise, 5 years from now, you're going to need to change your logo again. And yes, a brand needs a refresh every now and then, but not a logo. A logo is something that should last a lifetime. So you want to make something that is going to be effective, and it's going to capture people's attention, and it's going to make people feel like, oh, wow, this logo looks playful. This logo looks incredible. I'm playful. This is appealing to me. That's what's going to make an impact. The best brands can make a great impact within 5 seconds, all right? And the reason why you want to allow that brand to make an impact within 5 seconds is because that's the average loading time of a web page, all right? So when the person lands on that website, and within 5 seconds, if they land on the page and it's something that really impresses them, that's it. You've already done half the job, all right? You've given them a lasting impression. And when you're playing around with your logo, ask people questions. Don't just think, well, you know what, I like it. And if I like it and my friends and my family like it, then everyone's going to like it. This is going to reach out to a customer. That's not a proper focus group exercise. That's not enough research. You've got to understand that if your family and your friends like your logo, people surround themselves with like-minded people, which means that their mindset's going to be the same as yours. So all you've actually done is impress other people like you with your logo. That's not enough. Are those people going to buy into your product? Are they actually going to say, you know what, I'd like to place an order right now? If that's not the case, you've asked the question from the wrong person. You need to broaden your reach, and you need to ask more people, whether you do little polls on Facebook, whether you do a questionnaire, a survey. Send information out there and ask people, what do you think of these 3 logo options? What do you think about this? What do you think about that? This is what my brand is about. Does this come across? And that's how you can start building the journey on creating a brand that is going to be impactful, and creating visual branding that's really going to capture someone and convert a sale within less than a minute. That's what you've got to do. So now we're going to go into a poll, and I think Eugene and his team are going to put a couple of poll questions up right now. So I want to ask you this. So let's look at question 1. Can you think of any brands that have had a lasting impression on you? And I want you to name one. All right. I can see. Let's just see here. I see some people are sharing in the chat. Yeah, tag here. Wow, you guys are answering. Awesome. All right. It definitely looks like there have been people that have quite literally had a brand that have made an impact, and that's incredible. It means that people are actually doing their work. Now I want you to just name a brand. Even if you guys can do it in the polls, or if you guys can do it on the chat. I can see the chat, which is in private, so I can kind of see messages coming through. Well done. Thank you to Alta, who mentioned Nando's. Shahim, who mentioned Tagia. Harley Davidson, yes. Coke. Perfect. Okay, funny enough, Coke's going to come up later in this conversation, so I'm actually going to take that. Then, next question. Do you think that their budget made a difference to the impact that brand had on you? Just answer that question. Do you think the budget, that company's budget made the difference? Okay. Okay, awesome. All right, so most of you have said, yes, the budget made a difference. And then do you think their geographics have anything to do with their level of success? Now see, it's becoming quite even. Okay, a lot of you are saying, no, it wouldn't. Well done. Yeah, and some of you are saying, interesting. Interesting. All right, then lastly, if I sell shoes, my logo should show an element of shoes. True or false? Wow. Okay, you guys are quick on the fingers. Well done. Okay. I'm going to answer some of these questions now for you. All right. All right. So the first question was about the brands. I'm going to use Coke as an example. So for example, do you think their budget made a difference? The truth is no. The budget does not make a difference. And in fact, looking at where Coca-Cola actually started, it had the budget, they never had much of a budget. It never had anything to do with that. And a good brand can make that impact and create a lasting impression, regardless of what that budget may be. I mean, you look at something like Facebook. Facebook started with an idea, to some degree, a stolen idea, but still, it made an impact and it made a difference. And that budget exploded in a very short space of time, all based on a developer who invented something that was unheard of and unprecedented. That's why it worked, and that's why it exploded. They just allowed everybody else to make them famous. The same with Google and Gmail. When I was still, in varsity, I remember Gmail becoming a thing, and it was all very private. And part of their brand strategy was the only way that you could get a Gmail account was if somebody else invited you, and each user only had 5 invites to share. Suddenly, it became exclusive. It was something that everybody wanted to be part of because they thought that they were missing out. That was part of a campaign strategy that didn't really cost very much. It was just really effective. And you can use social media to do the same thing. Social media has made it much easier for a brand to make a lasting impression. Then, no, the geographics have nothing to do with the level of success of a brand. If it is a need inside of a zone that everybody in that particular zone really needs, you can still branch outside of that zone or outside of that geographic area. The world of the internet has made the world smaller, all right? Much, much smaller. You can reach audiences of up to 5 million in 2 days using platforms like Google AdWords, using social media, all of those things. You can make an impact, a global impact, in a very short space of time, just by doing your research and creating an effective brand that is going to make a lasting impression. Then, should your logo contain an element of, of shoes, for example, if you're selling shoes? The answer to that, quite literally, is in my next slide. No. All right? Be real, not literal. At the end of the day, if you look at some of these brands that I've put inside of the presentation, Nike, for example, it's just a tick, all right? But the reason why Nike wanted to shape that tick over there was to keep it simple. Do it. Checkbox done. You need this item. That was, and it was for momentum. It was for movement. The swoosh was all about creating something that was effective, easy. It was sneakers, all right? That's why they wanted to create that propelling, that's feeling of being propelled. And that's where the swoosh was born. You look at the new, I don't know if everyone remembers this. I'm giving my age away a little bit, but so the logo in the center of my presentation, that's the new Vodacom and Vodafone logo. All right. Before, it used to be a symbol of the internet that kind of had like these little bands coming across it. That was Vodacom's old logo. All right. It was green and blue. Now, in order to refresh their brand, Vodacom realized that their customer is becoming younger and younger and younger. They need to change things up. The world of the internet is nothing new anymore. They need to change up the branding. So what did they do? Because Vodacom effectively provides a communicative service, they decided that they're going to change their logo to a quotation mark. That's literally what that is. It's a bubble with a quotation mark. Because when you're speaking, you're talking about quoting someone. And that's why they decided to go for that logo. It's not a literal logo. It's just something figurative. It's something imaginative. And that's what you've got to think about your brand. Be smart, but also try not to be too abstract, because if not everybody's going to get it. Not everybody's going to understand. Your logo's got to create a sense and a feeling. That's all it's got to do. And it's got to capture all of that in one go. Then if you're looking at Apple, I mean, my God, that's like one of the world's most popular icons right now, from an iconography perspective. But the story behind Apple's logo was Isaac Newton. You know, that was it. It was Isaac Newton. And because Isaac Newton discovered, you know, an apple that fell on his head, and that's how the law of gravity kind of got put together. And because Isaac Newton started talking about that, he was kind of shunned. You know, people were like, how dare you talk about gravity and whatever? This isn't a thing. Until he started shaping it and started telling people, this apple is proof right now that if it falls just out of thin air, okay, it just fell from a tree, I'm breaking the laws of, I've now broken the laws of science that we knew at that point. Apple created something new. They created something innovative, something that was not there before. And so therefore, their inspiration for their logo was breaking into something new, Isaac Newton and Apple. And that was it. That's literally the story behind their logo. So the next thing that we want to understand, now that we've gone through some of these steps, is about the DNA of your brand, all right? Be unique. Sell your story. A very famous writer said once, don't sell a mattress, all right? If your business is into selling mattresses, when you put your marketing strategy and your brand strategy together, don't sell the mattress, because everybody else sells mattresses. What you can sell is a good night's sleep, because everybody needs a good night's sleep. So what you tell people is, if you buy this mattress, you're going to wake up with like a breath of fresh air. Your world's going to become better. If you get a good night's sleep, you're going to think faster. You're going to work up new serotonin cells inside of your body that your body really needs. You're going to be able to think clearer. And that's all with this mattress. Suddenly, I'm interested in the mattress, because if the mattress is good, then by all means, price is nothing. You know, sell a good night's sleep, not a mattress, but you've got to be unique. Research is your key, okay? Do your homework. And here's a couple of simple questions. Who are your competitors? Who are their customers, all right? Who are your competitors' customers? Are there similarities or differences between your product and your brand and your competitors' product and brand? You've got to ask this question, because this is going to start giving you some more information and insight as to, why should my logo look like this? It's looking too similar to my competitor's logo. And suddenly my audience that I'm targeting are going to get confused between their brand and my brand, and they're going to assume that it's the competitor's brand. And I don't want to create that confusion. You really have to be unique. You've got to do something that's outside, that paints outside of the lines, and that's out of the box thinking. That's why it's got to be part of your brand's DNA. You've got to understand your brand's DNA. Why you and not your competitors? Why should customers choose you? What's your mission and what's your vision? Okay. You've all heard this before. Every brand or every business has a mission statement, right? But what is that mission statement? And how is it different to your competitor's mission statement? Your mission statement has to be form part of a personal experience and part of a personal solution that you want to give to somebody else. That's the only way that you're really going to start building an effective mission statement, because it's personal. it's something that you can put all of your thought process, all of your motivation, you can put all of that behind it. And that's how you can start growing your mission into your vision. Now, your mission is basically a clear directive. It's a clear set of goals. Your vision is something a lot bigger than where the brand is today. Your vision has to be 5 years from now. It's got to be 10 years from now. That's your vision. That's, you know, when people started talking about 2020 vision, you know, I kind of thought, yeah, that's going to be part of it. 2022 vision, all right? And we're in the year of 2020. It's too late to talk about 2020 vision. You've got to think about 5 years from now. And that's got to be part of your brand's DNA. And when you're shaping your logo, you've got to kind of say, what does this brand do? You know, are we a food business? If we're a food business, I'm not just going to put a sandwich as my logo. What does that tell? You know, the same with Baskin Robbins. Baskin Robbins, for example, literally put their B and their R inside of their logo. And very few people started getting it. And they were like, but what does the number have to do with Baskin Robbins? The number inside of Baskin Robbins' logo is the amount of flavors that they have. It's the amount of flavors the ice cream is available in. That was literally the reason for the logo. And a lot of people never understood this. And I was privileged enough to speak to the founding senior directors of Baskin Robbins. And that was where I found this out. And I thought, oh, that's so hilarious. And I've never thought about it. But that's what motivated the logo. How incredible is that? The last thing you need to think about is, how do you do what you do? So let's say, for example, you've got a clothing manufacturing company, right? You're a manufacturer of garments. There are many other manufacturers of garments, and they can all have a t-shirt as a logo, or they can all have a needle and thread. But that doesn't make you any different to anybody else. So now you've got to start thinking about your ways of work. So you say, well, how do you make your t-shirts? Okay, well, we first ask the client, what fabric do you want to use? What is this and what is that, etc. There's a journey. So you maybe want to include what that user journey is and shape that experience, the user or the customer experience, into your logo. If it's meant to be easy, if the customer journey is easy, start thinking of playing on symbols that is ease of use. What type of symbol tells me that something's easy? You know, take Nike, for example. They just used a tick, a swoosh, easy, plain and simple. That was it. All right. You've also got to ask about the experience. Are people excited? Add some excitement and variety into your logo, but also think about something that is unique to you. Ask yourself, what structures or what things out there in the world have inspired you? Is it face brick buildings? Is that something that excites you? Is it water? Are you motivated by the ocean, by the shape of the ocean, by the shape of a wave? If that's what motivates you, you can consider working that into your logo. It doesn't have to be a wave. It can just be something around the structure of a wave. So that's going to form part of your brand's DNA. Then the next thing you want to get right, and this is something that people use when they're picking out diamonds, all right? Color, cut, clarity. I want you to use that when you're thinking about your logo, all right? Be selective around your colors. But don't feel too restricted. Don't think, no, but most companies in the food industry always have red in their logo. That's true. You know, you can take a look at McDonald's. They've got the golden arches, but they add red inside of it because red makes people hungry. It is an emotive color. There's a lot of psychology behind a brand's colors, and you can Google that. You know, you can say psychology behind brand colors. Just Google it, seriously. And you will find that there is an actual psychosis to picking out a brand's colors. Most finance companies have a lot of blue in their logos, and it's usually quite like deep, dark navy blues. And that's because the color blue, especially a navy blue, creates a sense of affirmation. It creates a sense of security. It makes people feel secure. And that's why banks, for example, and investment companies often use it. The same with dark green. Dark green creates a sense of fidelity, of growth. and of a good investment. That's why most of those companies, you look at Old Mutual and those types of companies, and you look at Nedbank, and you suddenly realize, oh, that's why that's part of their brand colors. It's to create a particular emotion in the customer. And you've got to also think that bold and bright colors, for example, don't necessarily mean that it's fun and exciting. It doesn't necessarily mean that. You've got to think of the structures of your brand as well. And this is where cut comes in. Consider straight lines or curves or jagged edges. A lot of people are leaning quite heavily towards this new modern age where they say, oh, we just want straight lines, clean lines. That's what I want my logo to be. Well, what does that say about your company? Does your company only work with modern design work? Are you only going to do modern products? Are you only going to sell very postmodern products? Is that all you're going to do? You're never ever going to have, for example, something that's a little bit more punk, something that's more grungy looking. Because if you're going to go with a modern brand and a modern logo, that's what consumers are going to expect from you. Your logo is going to create an expectation, and you need to bear that in mind. So just because you've got a bright red color, and now suddenly you've got, playful lines and clean lines, suddenly the bright red color is emoting something different. If you're going to use very structured fonts, for example, and it's going to be a clean font, that's going to create a very different sense again in your customer. So think about all of those things, about the customer's journey. Always remember this: the customer is the hero of the brand story, not you. It's got nothing to do with you. It's got everything to do with the customer. And put the customer's needs ahead of yours. That's what's going to help you with this. And also consider this when you are using fonts. There's this new trend of people using a lot of cursive fonts because they think that if they're going to look like Coca-Cola or Ray-Ban, for example, because they want to explore that type of typography, then they're going to say, yeah, but look at Coke. I'm going to make my logo playful and look like Coke, because if they're doing it, they must be doing something right. And therefore, if I adopt the same thing, I'm also going to be famous. This is the wrong notion to have. If it's illegible, nobody's even going to know what your brand means or what it says. And half of the time when I see some of these cursive fonts, and I think to myself, that's great. It looks really awesome. It looks really playful. But my God, I can't read it. Then what's the point? Now, suddenly you've got your logo in cursive plastered on all of your paraphernalia, on your flyers, on your business card. And if you don't have your website link or your Facebook page, your social media handles on there, nobody's even going to know what to search for, because in the first place, they couldn't even read your logo. So always bear that in mind. Is it going to be something that someone can read and understand quite effectively? All right, then encourage imagination. All right, this is one of my favorite parts of this process. The best brands encourage imagination, flip simple thoughts and ideas on its head, and put everyday thinking to the test within itself and to its audience. So now I want to talk about Coca-Cola and why Coca-Cola was so effective. Previously and prior to the 1930s, everybody knew Santa Claus, as this Turkish character who was either in green or, for example, in brown, for example, brown colors. That was what Santa Claus looked like before. That's how we knew Father Christmas. And nobody ever understood the fact that why does Santa Claus, when did Santa Claus become red and white? Coca-Cola made Santa Claus red and white. It was part of a campaign in 1930. They got an illustrator to basically paint Santa Claus drinking a bottle of Coca-Cola outside of a retail outlet. If you don't believe me, you guys are welcome to go onto to the Coca-Cola company's website, and you can find out what's the history behind Santa Claus. And I've got a slide here to show you. So, for example, Prior to 1930, that's what Santa Claus looked like, the image on the left. Then an illustrator literally painted Father Christmas drinking a bottle of Coca-Cola. And the reason why they did it was whenever whenever people thought of Coke, people never thought playful. They never thought fun. They never thought a gift. They never thought happiness. So the only way that they could do it, they said, well, when people think of Santa Claus, they think happiness. When people think of Santa Claus, they think gifts. They think surprises. They think exciting. And then suddenly they said, well, let's make Santa Claus drink Coca-Cola. And let's make him in Coke's brand colors, red and white. Suddenly it was on trucks. It was everywhere. I don't know if many people remember the truck ad. It was finally made into a TV commercial I think it was in the 90s. And suddenly people realized, oh my word, unwrap happiness. So the next time you look at the Coca-Cola logo, and I'm going to give you the secret right now. The Coca-Cola logo is actually a ribbon. That's all it is. And the reason why they used a ribbon is because they thought, well, when you think of a ribbon, you think of presents. You think of unwrapping something. And that's why Coke chose the ribbon as part of their logo, because they want people to think happy. They want people to think that they are unlocking happiness. And that was the secret to Coca-Cola's success in the 1930s. That was all it was. They wanted people to think joy, happiness. And that's what you've got to do with your brand. Think about a universal thought, a universal feeling. Now pair your brand up with it. And that's how you are going to leave a lasting impression and something that is impactful. Like I said, don't sell a mattress, sell a good night's sleep, because everybody needs a good night's sleep. Not everybody needs a mattress, but you can make someone's need into a want and a want into a need very easily, depending on how you're going to pitch that brand. And that's how you're going to sell your brand. So let's just wrap this up. So to summarize, you've got to understand your business, define the why, understand your story, and sell it. You've got to make an impact. That's what your logo's got to be. And for those of you who are thinking very clearly about it has to be these colors, it has to look this way and everything else, here's a tip. When you're thinking of your logo, think of it in black and white. Your logo has to be as effective in black and white as it is in color. When you trademark a logo, and you fill out the trademark papers, they actually ask you to submit your logo in grayscale and in black and white. You're not allowed to trademark a logo in full color because colors are universal, but the shapes of a logo are not. So when you trademark a logo, you have to submit it in black and white. So your logo has to be as effective in black and white as it is in color. So whenever you're thinking of your logo, take away all of the color. And if it doesn't have the same impact, you know that you've made a mistake. Change it immediately. So that's just a tip from me to you, when you are designing that, because when you do trademark it, and I hope that most of you are going to be trademarking your logos, you can only trademark it in black and white. Then be real and keep it simple. Don't be too literal, all right? Just be authentic. Authenticity is the mother of good branding. Make sure you are unique, distinctive, and sell your story. Sell your story. Don't sell your product all the time. People are tired of being sold products. What people really want is they want to understand that these are the things that are going to make a customer need me. All right, I see a question up here. What is the cost to trademark a logo? They can start from anything of around 2,000 Rand, and they can go up by as much as 20,000 Rand. It all depends on the restrictions of the trademark. So you can either trademark locally within South Africa, or you can trademark continentally, or you can trademark globally. The further the reach of the trademark, the higher it's going to cost. Then lastly, like I said, don't sell the product, sell the benefits and encourage imagination. So all you need to make sure of is that that's what you are selling. So literally go forth and conquer. So that's effectively in a nutshell how to create a brand that doesn't suck. All right, guys. Tomorrow I'm going to be talking about lead generation on social media and how to use social media for lead generation. That is at 1 p.m. tomorrow. So you guys are welcome to pop in again tomorrow. Please watch the rest of the speakers. This conference is absolutely amazing, and it's going to be beneficial to everybody, not just pre-existing business owners, but if you're thinking of starting a business. So we'll be seeing you guys throughout the rest of the day and tomorrow.
Cool, that's awesome. Yes, Jody, thanks a lot. I mean, I've been following. I followed your whole thing, and I must say I'm quite impressed with the history on Coca-Cola, because if you think back on it, well, I don't think any of us were alive at that stage, but we were brought up with those images and, Father Christmas and stuff. And that's very, very interesting. It reminds me of Tandu Sibanda's talk this morning that also explained how some of the words, how words got made up, and what we now see as a normal word was actually had a completely different meaning. But that's awesome. Thanks a lot, Jody. To everyone listening, I see there's quite a lot of attendees. Guys, you were awesome. Sorry about the little delay in the polls. I actually, as the host, had to go over onto mobile because there's something wrong with the fiber in our area. But hopefully all that sorted out. So we're going to take a break, and then our last speaker is Philip Viljoen. A quick introduction. Philip is a specialist on a business topic called theory of constraint, and it's a fantastic thinking model of how to do business and how to start a business. So it's quite relevant to our conference. So Jody, thanks a lot, and we'll take a break now. It's 40 minutes past, and then I'll see you guys all online again at 3 o'clock. Thanks a lot, and thanks for your comments and questions.
Thanks so much, guys. See you tomorrow.